Welcome back to the virtual world of energy. We hope you subscribe and build an alliance with energy. Thank you so much for watching.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a real-life family mediation consultation.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
It really is, and I think it'll be really insightful for anyone who's ever dealt with family conflicts or maybe just wants to learn more about how mediation works.
Yeah. I mean, who hasn't had some kind of family drama?
Right, so true. And in this case, we're going to meet the Chavers, a couple who are trying to navigate some tricky issues with their adult daughter, Haley.
Okay, so tell me more about the Chavers and what they're going through.
Well, Haley has special needs, and her parents are seeking help with some educational challenges and also just the overall family dynamics.
I see. So it's not just about Haley's education, but also about how the family interacts and supports each other?
Exactly. And what's really cool is that the Shavers are being super proactive.
That's so important.
They're not waiting for things to explode. They're actively seeking solutions, and they've turned to Energiii Alliance, a mediation company that has a really unique approach.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about Energii Alliance.
Well, first of all, you gotta love their tagline: resolving disputes, training to empower, and promoting healing.
Ooh, that's powerful. It really sets the tone for a positive and transformative experience.
Right. And they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They incorporate all sorts of interesting methods, including something called math for mediation, which we'll get into later.
Okay, hold on. Math for mediation? You've definitely piqued my curiosity.
I know, right? It sounds a little out there, but trust me, it's fascinating. We're going to hear from Angel Wiggs and Kevin Dolby, the mediators working with the Shivers.
So they're the ones who are going to guide us through this real-life mediation consultation.
Yep. They both have over 2 decades of experience as paralegals and mediators, so they've seen it all.
That's reassuring. You want someone with that kind of experience when you're dealing with sensitive family matters.
Absolutely. And one of the things that sets Energiii Alliance apart is their focus on not just settling disputes, but also on empowering people and promoting healing.
That's a really holistic approach. It recognizes that conflict is often about more than just the issue at hand.
Exactly. And their company name, Energii, with 3 I's, reflects their commitment to neutrality and representing all parties involved.
I love that. It's like they're saying, we're here for everyone, and we're going to create a safe and balanced space for dialogue.
Okay, so let's talk a bit more about this math for mediation, because I know you're dying to know what it's all about.
I am. Spill the beans. How does math play into mediation?
Well, it's not about crunching numbers in the traditional sense. It's more about using numerology and even birthdays to help determine the most favorable times for mediation based on individual cycles and probabilities.
That's interesting. I've always been fascinated by numerology and the idea that numbers can reveal hidden patterns and insights.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to find those moments when people are naturally more open to communication and understanding.
I can see how that could be really helpful, especially in a situation where emotions are running high.
And you know what's even cooler? Kevin actually uses this method for businesses too. He says you can apply it to everything from scheduling meetings to negotiating contracts.
Wow, that's really thinking outside the box. It makes you wonder
Right.
what other unconventional approaches they're using.
Right. And speaking of unconventional, let's get back to the Shavers and their unique situation.
Okay, so they're dealing with Haley's education, family dynamics, and they've turned to Energiii Alliance for help. What's next?
Well, they've actually decided to break the mediation down into 2 parts.
Oh, that makes sense.
One session will focus on the school and Haley's teacher.
And the other will be for the family unit itself.
Exactly. Because you're dealing with different power structures and communication styles in those 2 settings.
That's a really smart approach. It allows for more targeted and nuanced conversations.
And in the initial consultation, Angel laid out the 5 stages of mediation for the Shavers: convening, opening, communication, negotiation, and closing.
Okay, so it's a structured process that guides them through each step of the mediation.
Right. And she also shared a really encouraging statistic. 85% of parties who fully commit to the process reach a resolution.
Wow, that's a pretty high success rate. It really speaks to the effectiveness of mediation when both sides are willing to work together.
And you know, even in this first meeting, you can already see a sense of relief washing over the Shavers.
It's like having this structured process in these experienced mediators is giving them a newfound sense of hope and empowerment.
Totally. It's like they're finally being heard and understood, and they're starting to see a path forward.
Sometimes just having a safe space to express your concerns and feel validated can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. And Letitia, Haley's mom, talked about the importance of going beyond those textbook solutions for Haley.
She wants to find methods that truly meet Haley's individual needs.
Right, and you could feel her passion for advocating for Haley's best interests.
That's so important,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to special needs individuals.
It's about recognizing that one size doesn't fit all, and that we need to tailor our approaches to meet individual needs.
Okay, so we've got the Chavers, the unique situation, the intriguing math for mediation, and these experienced mediators guiding them through a structured process.
Now let's dive into some of the specifics of this case, starting with that fascinating math for mediation concept.
I'm all ears. Tell me more about how this math magic works.
All right, so Kevin actually used Mr. Shaver's birthday to demonstrate this math for mediation thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And get this, the key words that came up for his current cycle were like teaching, authority, and structure.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah, and those themes are like so spot on for what the Shavers are dealing with, right?
It's kind of freaky how it lines up like that.
Right, like what are the chances?
I'm definitely intrigued, even if I'm not totally convinced.
It makes you think though, right? Like maybe there really is something to this whole timing thing.
Yeah, like maybe picking the right moment for a conversation can make all the difference.
It's like, have you ever tried to have a serious talk with someone when they're in a bad mood?
Ugh. Yeah. Recipe for disaster.
Exactly. So maybe this math for mediation is kind of like finding those windows of opportunity when people are more open to hearing what you have to say.
That makes sense. But what about when you're dealing with, like, a whole group of people?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, how do you find a time that works for everyone's numerological cycles?
Yeah, I'm not sure Kevin addressed that specifically.
Maybe it becomes more of an art than a science at that point.
Right, like you use the numbers as a guide, but also rely on your experience and intuition as a mediator.
Exactly. And this brings up another thing I've been wondering about, the ethical side of it all.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, could relying too heavily on numerology create, like, a self-fulfilling prophecy?
You mean if you go into a session thinking the timing is bad, could that influence the outcome?
Exactly. We need to be careful not to let our beliefs shape the process too much.
It's like any tool, right?
Yeah.
It can be used for good or for bad.
And mediators' responsibility is to use it ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. But okay, enough about the math for a sec.
Good.
Letitia, Haley's mom, really emphasized the importance of finding solutions that go beyond those like textbook approaches.
She wants to find what truly works for Haley, not just what's in the manual.
Yeah, and you could feel her passion, like she's a fierce advocate for her daughter.
That's so important. Every child, especially those with special needs, deserves that kind of advocacy.
It's about recognizing that one size doesn't fit all and that we need to be creative and flexible in our approaches.
Absolutely. And this is where mediation can be so powerful, right?
Totally. It provides a space for those conversations to happen, for parents to share their concerns, and for everyone to work together to find solutions.
And that sense of collaboration is key, right?
Definitely. It's not about imposing solutions, but about empowering families to make informed decisions.
Like giving them a toolbox instead of a prepackaged solution.
Love that analogy. It's about equipping them to handle challenges and make choices that are right for them.
You know, this whole conversation is making me think about how we can apply these principles beyond just family mediation.
Ooh, interesting. Tell me more.
Like, what if we approached all our relationships with that same level of intention and commitment to communication?
That's a powerful thought. Like, imagine if we all strived to truly understand each other's perspectives.
And if we approach disagreements as opportunities for growth and connection, rather than battles to be won.
It's like a paradigm shift in how we relate to each other.
Exactly. And it all starts with those small, everyday interactions.
Like really listening when someone is talking to us, being willing to compromise, seeking solutions that benefit everyone involved.
It sounds simple, but it can make a world of difference.
So much of this comes down to communication, right?
Communication is key. It's the foundation for healthy relationships, whether it's with our families, friends, colleagues, or even strangers.
This episode has been a real eye-opener for me.
Me too. I'm feeling inspired to take a closer look at my own communication patterns and see where I can improve.
And, I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can all benefit from being more mindful of how we communicate and interact with each other.
All right, I think it's time to wrap things up and offer some final thoughts and takeaways for our amazing listeners. So what are some key things our listeners can take away from all this?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that mediation isn't just for those, really intense conflicts.
Right, like when things have already hit a breaking point.
Exactly. It can actually be a really valuable tool for anyone who just wants to improve their communication skills and have better relationships.
Totally. It's about approaching disagreements with a sense of curiosity and empathy,
Seeking to understand where the other person is coming from.
and finding solutions that work for everyone involved.
And I think it starts with being more mindful of our own communication patterns, you know?
Like, how do we typically react when we disagree with someone?
Are we truly listening, or are we just waiting for our turn to speak?
Do we get defensive and shut down, or are we open to hearing different perspectives?
Asking ourselves these questions can be really eye-opening.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own communication habits.
And you know, one thing that really impressed me about the Chavers is their proactiveness.
Oh yeah, they didn't wait for things to spiral out of control.
They recognized they needed help, and they reached out for it.
And that's something we can all learn from, right?
Absolutely. It's a sign of strength to ask for support when we need it.
And there are so many resources available to us, whether it's books, workshops, or even just talking to a trusted friend or therapist.
And of course, there are skilled mediators like Angel and Kevin at Energiii Alliance.
Who can help us navigate those tough conversations and find a path forward.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought.
I'm listening.
How can you apply the principles of mediation in your own life, starting today?
Ooh, that's a good one. What would be one small step our listeners could take?
Maybe it's committing to really listen the next time you have a disagreement with someone.
Or maybe it's trying to see things from their perspective, even if you don't agree with them.
Or maybe it's simply choosing your words more carefully, being mindful of how your communication impacts others.
Even those small changes can make a big difference over time.
Absolutely. It's all about creating a more positive and productive communication culture in our relationships.
This episode has been so insightful. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of mediation.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, communication is key to healthy, happy relationships. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.